creating the polls app. So now that your environment, a project is set up. A project is set up. You're set to start doing work. Let's see, run server. Yeah. Each application you write in Django consists of a Python package that follows a certain convention. Django comes with a utility that automatically generates the basic directory structure of an app, so you can focus on writing code rather than creating directories. So it says that it comes with a utility that automatically generates the basic directory structure of an app. Your apps can live anywhere on your Python path. In this tutorial, we'll create our poll app in the same directory as our manage.py file so it can be imported as its own top-level module rather than a sub-module. To create your app, make sure you're in the same directory and type the command python manage.py start app polls. And that's going to give us that folder structure, so we can go ahead and do that now. I think I still have to fix my Python interpreter, but let's do this first. So that's which directory we're in now. And what we're going to do is just call Python, use manage.py, which remember is handles a bunch of stuff for us. And we're going to use start app, and then give it a name, polls. And we should see polls up here now, right here. So that's our app, and this is our project. And then we should have an import issues here, but I will deal with that off camera. It's not that important right now. So we created our app, and up here it talks about the difference between projects and apps. So my site is the project, and then polls would be the app. So it says, what's the difference between a project and an app? An app is a web application that does something. So an app is a web application that does something. So polls is going to be our web application that does something. A blog system, a database of public records, or a small poll app. A project is a collection of configurations and apps for a particular website. So it's combining both of them. So configuration and apps is our project. Where app is a web application that does something. A project can contain multiple apps, and an app can be in multiple projects. So this is one app, and this is a project, and our project can contain multiple apps. I don't think that told us too much in detail about projects and apps, but okay. And this is the directory structure that we end up getting. You can look at that here. Some migrations going on. Same init file. It looks kind of like similar files. Init, admin, apps, models, tests, and reviews. Nothing in any of those. And if you remember, we also have our settings. We have apps. So we're probably going to have to end up putting our app in here, which would be polls. Okay, so let's write our first view. And we'll write our first view, and then I'll make another video. Because we're at 5 minutes. We're going to create our first view. So let's write the first view. And remember what the view was. The view was pretty much what allowed us to go to different sites. Let's see. So this, not this, would be a view. Okay, we don't have the views here, but the views are what allowed us to hit those functions and do something. And we use the path to direct our views based off of that endpoint. So earlier in the first or second video, we had the path go to a certain endpoint, and that was going to a view. And once you go to that view had a function attached to it, and you were able to do whatever's in that function when you hit that endpoint. So now we get to create our first view. Let's write the first view. And we're going to open the file polls.view.py. So that will be this one. And what we're going to do, let's just copy this and paste that there. Okay, now I'm actually going to have to deal with this interpreter issue. So just pause and do it. Okay, now we are good. All our errors went away. Fix that interpreter issue. Cool. So we copied right here for the first view, and what that did for us was we got this function called index with a request and a response right here. Remember in the first video, we determined that our views were just a function that took a request, and this request has metadata, and we're able to return this HTTP response. So it says this is the simplest view possible in Django. To call the view, we need to map it to a URL, and for this we need that URL config. So this is really putting in practice what we went over in the first video. So we had that URL path file, so it was probably something like new, and you do a URL.py, and then we can put our URLs in there. Let's go back to views there. And let's see, we got views, URLs, and in the URLs, we're pretty much going to have to get a path to connect to this index right here. And let's go and see what it's saying. Simple this view. To call this view, we need to map it to a URL, and for this we need that URL count, and that's what we just made right here. This URL.py, which is pretty much a URL configuration file. To create a URL config in the pose directory, create, we just did that. URLs.py, URLs.py, and your app directory should look like this now. Pose, migrations, models, test, everything's good. URLs. So in the pose.url.py, urls.py, which is our URLs config, what we're going to do is copy this in there, and that just took the path, and we're taking the views from this directory, and we're given that path right here. It's empty, so this empty just means that it's going to go to the root directory, same as the slash, and it's taking you, once you hit this root directory, it's taking you to views.index, and views.index comes from views, and it hits this index right here and gives you that response, and the name of that is index. The name of this path is index. So it says the next step is to point the root URL config to the polls URLs module. So what is that? It's to connect the root URL config, that's this right here. We want to connect that to the polls URL. Okay, what does that mean? The next step is to point the root URL. Oh no, at the polls URL module. I thought that's what we just did. In my site URLs by add an import. Oh, I think I see what it's saying. Okay, so we're going to go to the my site URLs, and we are going to include. So take this Django.include here, put that, we can just put includes here, add the path include, and then we're going to insert this include in the URL pattern list. So that way we're going to have this right here. Wait, no, this one. So what this is saying is going to go to polls, and once you hit polls, it's actually going to go to polls.urls, which is over here, polls.url, and hit this main one right here, I believe, the first one, and that's going to be an index, and that's going to give you that views of hello world you at polls index. And I think that's what this is talking about. The includes function, it allows references, well, it allows referencing other URL configs. So this include, go back here in the main one, not that one, the main one. So we have include here, and we used it here. So this is going to allow us to reference the other URL configs. So polls.url. So we're able to access polls URL once we hit polls through this include. Since polls are in their own URL config, polls.config, they can be placed under /polls or under fun polls or under content polls, or any other root paths in the app will still work. So when to use include, you should always use include when you include other URL patterns, and admin is the only one exception to that. So it says you now wire the index view to the URL config, verifying it's working with the following command. Cool, so now what we're going to do is just run our server to make sure that that actually works. So we do python manage.py, and we'll run our server. Yes, I did run server. What I did on server. So now we are running our server, and once we go to polls, this one, or localhost 8000/polls, we should get that. Here we go. Hello world, you're at the polls index. And I think that was pretty much it for this one. Getting started. So it says if you get this error, blah blah, the path function is passed, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think I'll just leave this for the next video. Well, let me go through it real quick. So it talks about the path function. Well, let me just review what just happened here first. So we're able to go to localhost 8000/polls. /polls. So localhost 8000/polls. And that's giving us this page. Hello world, you're at the polls index. And polls index came from this polls app. And polls app has its own URL and its own views. And my site has also URLs. And so what happened was, in our main site, we have a path called polls. So once we go to localhost 8000/polls, what this does is go to the URLs that includes that we have with includes, because if you remember, includes allows us to use other URLs in our site. So we use include and did polls.url, and so that took us to this polls.url here. And so I believe since we don't have anything slash, it's just going to run this one right here. So we don't have any path, it's just slash, or it's just empty. So that's when we are going to hit this view right here that we created. So if we go to our views and go to this index, so this views, and we hit that index, and it's going to give us this one right here. And I'm curious what happens if I try to make this an H1. Will it return like an H1? And I hit save. Okay, reset the server. And yeah, we got H1 there. And I'm also curious what happens if we try to do CYLE. Can I do this style and then do something like color maybe? Oh, I need to do single. And I can do color and make that, I don't know, crimson. I wonder. Okay, I might have did something wrong with the style, but color, crimson. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we can actually style it here too. If you want the size, I think it's like font size. And we can do 40 pixels. Save that. Get a bit bigger, 80 pixels. There we go. Cool. So that actually works. And yeah, so that's what we got so far. And okay, so we're getting to that last part. I'm at 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. This probably isn't that important. Yeah, that's it for this video.